And today I will be talking to you a little bit about my Tableau 2 project. Just kind of explaining why I chose what I chose and why I demonstrated the data in the ways that I did. So just jumping right into it here. I started out with just a couple of very simple bar graphs. I just wanted to make the profit and sales very clear, just so I could see which regions were functioning and which states were functioning per region and like which region was doing well or comparatively. The first thing I noticed when going through the Excel spreadsheet data just was that there were some clear outliers. They were mostly cities like New York City and Philadelphia, but that obviously contributes to extremely high sales in those states. So I just decided to portray them by each state. um, then I also made a profit map to just show those a little bit further, just kind of compare the profit in regions that were more successful and states that were less successful in sales. For example, we can see up here that New York did 61 million, while South Carolina did $353,877 in profits. So clearly a bit of a discrepancy within sales. So I kind of wanted to look at what was causing that big difference, what was selling and what was selling where. So that's where I kind of got into the equipment sales. We can definitely see that the ellipticals are profiting the greatest, specifically the Bowflex Max and the Horizon EX59. And the rowing machines definitely are taking a hit in the South. The southern regions are definitely selling a lot less rowing machines, but it looks like the rowing machines are kind of profiting less overall. I also wanted to just kind of deep dive a little bit further into these selling of the machines and kind of talk about when they sold during the year. The easiest way to break up that data, since we weren't really given years, was to just do it in quarters. So we can definitely see like a massive jump in quarter 2 and just a massive decline by quarter 4. Our sales get extremely low. I also wanted to look in the southern region here again. By quarter 4, we're just really performing super low. Actually, it looks like Nordic Track EXP takes a massive hit in the third quarter, but pretty low in the fourth quarter as well. Rowing machines stay pretty low in the South throughout the entire year, but again, peaked in the second quarter. And now I just kind of wanted to isolate that data, isolate the lowest performing states. So I found that the lowest performers in the East and the South region were the District of Columbia, Maine, Vermont, Louisiana, and South Carolina. So I put all 5 of those states onto one little map here just so that I could see what was doing well and what wasn't doing well. And I mean, it became very apparent that rowing machines are not really selling the best in the Eastern region, but also doing very poorly in South Carolina here as well. I don't know if they're selling any at all, actually. Next thing I did was just create a little dashboard so that I could look at the data this way, so that I could click on it. And it changes per state. So we can go to South Carolina, which was one of the states that we were looking at, one of the lowest performers. View that it sold no rowing machines, 3 types of ellipticals, 4 types of treadmills, and then we can see how well each one of those did kind of with the profit chart. The best thing about this dashboard is that I can compare 2 states side by side too. So if I would just wanted to compare, let's just go for 2 of our lowest, Louisiana and Vermont. I could put those 2 side by side and just see what's functioning in that region, in that area, and what's not. So again, rowing machines taking a pretty big dip for both. And treadmills also doing pretty poorly in Louisiana. I just kind of like it set up like that so that I can click on the states and then, compare it to another state. I think that dashboard makes it pretty easy there. Let's correct this here. Perfect, and I'll move on. The last thing I did was just kind of put that all into a story for us here. I narrowed down my the search a little bit and just decided to look in the South because that was obviously our like underperforming region. Kind of narrowed down on that. We can see that Avalon Strong and the Nordic Track were our two lowest performers, which I did talk about earlier. So our rowing machines definitely profited the least. But we do definitely have some treadmills that are underperforming as well. So I definitely looked at that throughout the quarters as well. Again, these rowing machines did fairly poorly all year, but definitely suffered the most in like quarter 3, quarter 4 towards the end of the year. We definitely saw everything take a pretty big hit. Next, I just wanted to look at equipment sales here, just comparing the lowest regions again. Just kind of viewing what doesn't sell so that we can kind of put our marketing efforts towards something that's a little bit more substantial, something that's maybe going to do a little bit better. So, for example, if we're only selling one form of the ergata, like one rowing machine, which is the ergata, then I think that our marketing efforts should just go there. Not worrying about resources, not worrying about putting rowing machines out there that aren't even profiting in these states at all. And then I kind of just narrowed the search one time a little bit deeper and clicked on each state just so that we can see for each of those 4 individual low performing states what is selling and what's not. Here we have the ergata once again, but no other rowing machines. And then the only treadmill sold was the Nordic Track. Here we have the only one in each category, which is interesting. 1 elliptical, the Horizon X, 1 rowing machine, the ergata, and 1 treadmill, the Assault Runner Pro. There is definitely limited options in these low performing states. We're only selling 4 of all the equipment types that we saw earlier, was definitely quite a few. And then last year we can look at Louisiana, which definitely did better than some of our other lower performing states and that sold more than obviously like 3, just like I said, but still is a place to look at, an area to focus on. Last thing I really wanted to talk about was just what that all meant, what the data means. And just to kind of narrow it down, I think that limiting the options to 3 equipment types would just be the best way to profit. Each 3 equipment types should be limited. The Bowflex and the Horizon E59 are the only 2 major elliptical types profiting in the area in the lower performing states. So I definitely think that we should maybe only be selling those 2, only focusing on selling those 2. The only necessary treadmills are really the Sol F63 and the Peloton. And then again, the only rowing machine that I really think is necessary is the ergata. So just limiting the supply, limiting the marketing efforts, just keeping out excess of these products would definitely help to raise profit. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was just my experience with Tableau. I think Tableau is just an incredible program. At first, it was a little bit tricky to navigate, but I think once you get the hang of it, it really is a great way to present your data. There's just no visualization techniques quite like it on Excel. Obviously, there's like pivot tables and stuff, but I mean, they really don't do this good of a job. The program is just really intelligent, just knowing exactly where the map is, not having to put in any keywords, knowing exactly what the months are, and even breaking that further down into quarters for you is super handy. I think the program as a whole is super helpful. Thank you very much.